Hi viewers, the person who is going to be with us today is none other than Rajkumar KV. He is the head of programs for physiotherapy in Faculty of Health and Life Science in INTI International University. He's a very good friend of mine. He is a very defined professional now in Malaysia. I'm so glad to have him with us as an guest today for our interview in Sairam Academy. Welcome, Dr. Rajkumar.
Hi, Dr. Anachalam. Hello.
I hope you won't like you calling you as Dr. Rajkumar.
Yeah, it looks so formal. So
Great, Rajkumar. So today what we are going to see is how education and pedagogy is in Malaysia, because you often used to talk about the education system as a whole has its own niche and it is very distinguished there. So I just wanted to know all those things today and want our viewers to know about that. In 15 questions, Rajkumar. So
yeah, sure. Yeah. That's okay.
your first question is, what do you think about the syllabus in Malaysia? How often you update the syllabus, because syllabus is being debated here a lot.
Whenever we are developing a curriculum, or even when we are revising a curriculum, the first and foremost thing we have to consider is your local standards. The local standard in the sense, for example, in India we have an UGC, so they set some standards. And second thing, if you have any local governing body, say for example, I'm saying like Indian Association of Physiotherapy or whatever it is, so they have to set up some kind of rules and regulations which has to be stipulated and has to be followed by every university. The same like UGC in Malaysia, we call it MQA. So if you see MQA, we call as Malaysian Qualification Agency. So they are the authority as a government agency. They are basically an authority to govern all mainly the private institutions in Malaysia to make a proper and standard curriculums, benchmark standard.
Who will give the benchmark? Is it the
Okay, the
physiotherapist?
benchmark standard. Yes, if you see the benchmark standard, there is a benchmark standard for all the programs. So that has been already stipulated and it's already framed, and it is in the Malaysian. It's controlled by the Malaysian Qualification Agency. We have an autonomy again. It's not we have to exactly follow it. Nowhere it stated that. That's what I use a term called benchmark. And you have to come up with the global platform. I mean, you have to review the global platform kind of other programs in different universities. And then you can come up with your subjects and what are the various subjects you want to teach in your university.
What I'm trying to ask you is how often you
Okay.
revise it.
Yeah. So this is the what I'm saying. Like this is what the basic first step which we want to develop a curriculum. Okay. If in terms of reviewing a curriculum, so again, this MQA has a standards. Every university, sometimes the university also has an regulations. So say for example, in our university, what we practice is basically is like 3 years once we have a program review. We call cyclic program review. And so the mindset of the curriculum developer or the university lecturers or the professors or whomever it is, the first set in the mind they have to say, change. I'm ready to change. That they should have. If we don't have that, we still won't change. So that's what we do is like every 3 years once we change the curriculum, and every year we have program. We monitor our program basically.
Yeah. What is the contribution of the teacher and what is the contribution of the student in the curriculum? Do students
So
in that?
yes. So it's not only students. So if you see in terms of curriculum development, so we will include basically students, number one. So every semesters they will give the feedback for the courses whatever we taught to them. Second thing, the lecturers has to give the feedback as well regarding the course. So how far the course, what is the needed change, because they are teaching, they are on the ground, so they know better sometimes. So the third thing, this very important thing, there are another two very important things which I'm going to tell you is, number one is the stakeholders. We call stakeholders is basically the physiotherapist who's really on the ground in the hospitals, because the students from the university, where they are going to go, basically they're going to go to the hospital to work.
Yeah.
So it's not only you cannot, the university only cannot decide the curriculum, because what the stakeholders need, because the need is based on the stakeholder.
Field work.
Because the stakeholder will say, the basic problem, whatever we are facing now, is the stakeholders coming, the attitude is a major problem. So we have to impart attitude as one of the major part in whenever we are imparting things to the students. So we will take in count with the stakeholders' feedback. And also we appoint an academic advisor from other public or private institutions to give their feedback as well. And sometimes, if possible, we need to use again students and also the parents, so alumni, very important.
So it's a collective input from the students, alumni, the stakeholders, the teacher,
Yes, teachers, even
and
parents
even
as
the
well.
parents. Oh, that's great.
Yes.
So how do you bridge the gap between a clinical therapist and a teacher? Because in India, we hardly find a teacher who is practicing physiotherapy in the same campus or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Don't have much of time to practice. They are
Yeah.
engaged into teaching, and they have a lot of other documentation works to be done, management activities to be done.
So if you see the clinical therapists versus the the theoretical educators, or I call as a we call lecturers. So how we can basically, how we bridge over here, the practice we follow is like we call a sharing session, knowledge sharing session. So if you see this knowledge sharing session, so what we basically do over here is like, whenever the CI is off duty, say for example, we call CIs. CIs is a clinical instructor where they follow the students to the hospital from the university to teach them. So some universities, what they follow is like even the same lecturer will go to the hospital. So there's no much issues. But some colleges, we have a separate clinical instructors who follow only to the clinical placement. Teachers, lecturers are different. So in order to bridge this gap, what we do a knowledge sharing session. So whenever we have free time or whenever we have a semester break kind of duration, so what we will do is basically we from the clinical side, the clinical instructor and the lecturers, they they used to brainstorm each other, and they will come up with an they bridge the knowledge basically. What happens in the field and what was taught in the classroom. So that both will be breached, and also the clinical instructor will tell to the lecturer, so this is what happening in the hospital side, so kindly follow this kind of you can incorporate in your classroom teaching as well. So this is how we have to bridge. If we don't bridge this, so what sometimes we have, even we did a survey, what happened is basically most of the students are complaining like classroom teaching is not that really useful when they go to the field.
Yours is a deemed.
Sorry?
Yours is a deemed.
Yeah, yes, ours is a deemed university. Yes.
How much is your admission every year?
Okay, even admissions, everything, even we are deemed university, but it is governed by that MQA. We don't have a set numbers basically, but you have to have the potential resources if you increase the numbers.
Okay, what are
so
they?
we have okay, very simple to say, we have benchmark standard. One student, we have 5 equipments. If you bring another students, you have to have 10 equipments. It's something like that. One lecturer is equal to 20 students. If your class have you have like 300 students, you divide by
20.
So that your facility has to increase.
Unfortunately, we have 300, 400 and 500 admissions nowadays.
Yeah, that's what the problem in India, but you still have the same number of lecturers.
Yeah, how
will still
that it will affect the physiotherapy profession as a whole?
Because in terms of like how you're going to control the crowd in the class, it's even though it's lecture, now it's lecture is moving away actually nowadays. That's what we don't call as lecturers nowadays. We call it as coaches. Coaches will not play in the ground. Players will play in the ground basically. So the students will study. That's what we call active learning.
Yeah, that's the next question. What is the role of a teacher there in a student's career?
They're going to be a mentor. So that's what we follow here actually. What we do, every students will be appointed a mentor when they start the journey in the college. So the mentor has to follow up with the students in terms of behavior, in terms of learning, in terms of any personal issues as well. So that mentor is the first mode of approach for the students.
So how many students a mentor will have on an average?
On an average, like about 10 to 15 students.
Okay, if a mentor is given more than 15 students, you would say that he is overloaded, right?
Yes, of course it's overloaded. That's what I say. Why I say is like already maximum 20 students. Why I say that will match with my regulatory requirements. 1 students, 20 students, 1 lecturer, 20 students. If I have more students, I should have another 1 more lecturer. So I don't have any issue on the mentor-mentee issue.
If you're is planning to increase the number of admissions, they'll definitely ask you first and then only they'll implement, or it is their decision to let you know that this is what we have decided.
They want to increase the student number, so they will come for inspection. So they will come every 3 years or 5 years once for inspection. It's not very easy kind of inspection here.
It's not like India.
Uh, I'm not sure what it means.
Now, next question is very important question. What do you do to maintain the standards of the teacher? Like if a teacher goes to a class, whether he completes the syllabus or whether he teaches them really, or he just like that give them notes and come back. How do you maintain the teaching standards there?
Of course, students' feedback will be one of the very important aspect we take care.
But
And also,
Rajkumar, the time from since we studied, we never used to be very comfortable with people who are very strict and more educated. People who comes
exact,
your shoulder,
exact,
we'll be very happy with them. So we always give more marks to people who are very happy and jovial with us. But for people
exactly.
academic oriented, we don't give marks. So how do you depend on the students' feedback?
Yeah, that subjectiveness is always there. But in order to overcome, so we it's not only the students' feedback. It has to be peer feedback. We call as a 360-degree survey. So it has to be a peer should go and survey in the class.
Okay.
So one of his colleague will go and survey, and the HOPs will survey, do an observation how they teach and everything. Sometimes it's not necessary to be pre-informed. We cannot come to a conclusion just by simple one person's opinion. It's not only that you will come and write and student just give a bad opinion of, say for example, a person X. I can't simply take an action again, given show cause letter to number X.
Okay. Apart from this, what are the standards for teacher?
Okay, basically a teacher comes into an university as a lecturer because some people doesn't have an experience in teaching before. Some people they have vast experience in teaching. So whomever it is, or some people who from the industry, they come to teaching as well. So the first thing what we have to do is we have to tell them the teaching styles, the teaching philosophy. So he has to learn the pedagogical approach. The Bloom's taxonomy. That's like it's like a Bible.
Because are not much familiar with Bloom's taxonomy. Can you just give a very small nutshell on that?
Okay, if you see education taxonomy, we have three areas. So the basic one, number one is very important, the cognitive, the people thinks, which is cognitive domain. The second one is the skills, whatever we practice, which is the psychomotor. And the third one is how we show the feelings to others, is a affective domain. Whatever you teach, these three things has to be imparted to them in the program. It's not merely just cognitive, no. It's not only practical. It's not only cognitive and psychomotor, because you're going to speak to the people. So affective is very important.
Going to the society.
Yeah, it's going to the society. And you also sometimes you want to be an entrepreneur. You want to be a leader. So you need to know that skills. You will be very knowledgeable in the class. Or sometimes you will not study at all in the class, but you will be a very good leader. We need to impart that kind of skill as well to the students. So that's very important.
So coming back to the teacher, as a head of the program, what do you expect from your teacher?
So commitment is very important. Basically, whenever you work or whenever you teach, you should put your heart and mind, he always say. So you committed and you have to take accountability and responsible as well. So responsible and commitment works together, and you have to take accountability as well. You cannot simply say no, I don't know, that is students' problem.
Now in case if you are sending people to external posting, do you charge the students or you pay from the institution? Because already they are paying tuition fees to the management.
Yeah, since they pay the tuition fees to the management, we don't charge them.
Wherever you send,
when they go here, the system is something like we have a memorandum of understanding with different government hospitals, basically mainly government hospitals and also private as well. But we don't charge hospital will not charge the students. Anything they will charge to the universities. Student has paid the fees to the university.
Next is your expertise area. I would like to ask you, we also only adapting this choice-based credit system, CBCS. Few of the very renowned universities like Ramachandra who are successfully doing it. Find any practical difficulty in that?
Now only we are starting the credit system, but I think we have all the facilities and resources which we can start early. That's why I said in the first itself, change mindset. I'm ready to change. We would have changed a long time before. So that's what I always say. So choice-based credit system is in India is, I think if I'm not mistaken, they come up with a credit system for each course. Every course, course in the sense the subject. So this subject has this many credits, and the student has an probability of choosing the subjects whatever they want to study in each semester. But when I look into this picture, but I never see anywhere outcome-based education in the choice-based system. I don't know whether it's choice-based credit system. It's just a credit system. The name itself says. If you see a credit system, it's not only the credit. The credit is offered based on the content. So this content, whether the student is achieved or not, how you're going to check. I think in India they got 10 point grading scales. A plus, excellent, very good, good, something like that. But what the world is moving towards is achieving the learning outcomes. I don't know. I'm not sure how many of us really look into that as a big picture. Say, for example, if you take any books, the first chapter or whatever the chapter, first paragraph they put in a colorful and a box saying learning outcome, but we never read that. We always ignore that. We go to the second page. It's very important. As a teacher, not as a student, also they should know as well. Why I'm saying as a teacher, because we're going to impart that, and we have to check whether the student has achieved that or not. So we have to move towards that, rather than this marking system. 100% mark, I mean A, B, C, whatever it is, but need to change.
How practical examinations are held there? How do you do practical examinations? Because here we
that's
two examiners, external and internal examiner. The student has to do the internal and external. Then he goes away, and the external internal examiners sit together. Whether the numbers they'll put average and they'll come out with the results. How it is in Malaysia?
So if it's still following that, I think it's the right time to change. We call it as OSPE, or we can say as a Osler. There are different types of OSPE, Osler, whatever it is, you just forget. It is a practical exam. But the only thing you have to remember that O. Remember that's the first word, O. That is very important. Why I'm saying that O is very important, because O means objective. We are going to assess objectively. What we are practicing is subjectively. SOSP, maybe I can say. SOPC or whatever it is. Subjectively practical. I mean, we are doing practical examination. So that has to be changed. First thing is examiner should not speak to the student. Okay, because the first thing, why I'm saying that is the first thing, because the examiner will speak first before the student starts speaking.
In India,
yeah. So of course, I was a student as well. The first thing is objective. So you should not speak to the students. He comes in, a preset time has been determined for all the stations.
You have stations like.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Every exam is different. For example, if you want to do an electrotherapy, don't ask the cognitive kind of thing inside there. We are checking only hands-on skill, whether he's operating correctly. You give a case scenario, what kind of treatment will be given to this patient. Maybe you can say directly use this using ultrasound. So acute injury, he has to think, okay, this is the megahertz, whether I should select 1 megahertz or 3 megahertz. So he has to decide that. That's why his knowledge comes into the picture in the practical exam. Examiner should not speak anything. Even he say selected wrongly also, he should keep quiet and just note it down there. Not note it down also. There's a checklist. No need to ask his personal lifestyle. Okay? No need to ask his personal. It's not a personal exam as well. I think in India, I think we wrongly perceive, I think so. Objective structured personal examination, maybe. I'm not sure.
I would like to recall one of the incidents happened in my undergraduation. Actually, we did a journal. One of our teacher, who is called Fitty Davis, he's working in Manipal now, one of our very inspiring teacher. He asked us to do a journal. Just imagine, it was in 1999. He asked to come up with a journal for our college. We also collected articles, we did a journal, and we did publish that also. But there were some two beautiful teachers in our college who did not like this. I don't want to mention their name. They are still around here. So what they did, they failed us. Failed nearly 3 or 4 of us who were actively involved in the journal making. And we got failed actually for doing a good job. So this sort of activity can be done in your place. Like, can you fail someone because of personal vendetta?
No, not at all. First station, like for example, we have 8 stations or 5 stations or 6 stations. It's you can design. So for example, you go for 5 stations. So we have 5 different modalities. One modality we give like 5 to 10 minutes. That's it. That's enough to perform all the things. No need one whole day. We practice when I study. I did 1 day. I proudly say as well. I did 1 day. So
you're a notorious
5 stations, probably. So the 5 stations, each station, different lecturers sits. And even you can invite externals, it's up to you. Even you have a grudge on the students, he will lose only in 1 station the mark, unless all the 8 lecturers in the station pointing out in 1 lecture. So that's what we objectively measure. We are moving from even that small objectiveness, I mean the subjectiveness, we are moving out. So you can very easily use a video camera to record.
Like how is the student's mentality? Here if a student gets failed, the next moment he says, I am being failed. Like I was failed by the teacher.
Yeah.
How do people?
No, here they can't say that.
Yeah.
We discuss with the students, every individual students, the lecturer has to discuss with the students what the issues they have. So these exams all should be discussed to the students. The papers has to be shown to the students. What is the issue?
Because of this COVID, what changes you expect in future?
Education will have a big revolution now.
Great.
Now the management, before they thought like no lecturer has to come to the universities or come to the college and they have to teach. But I don't think so. Now the management will start thinking why these fellows should come to the college, why I should waste this much big space. Practical facilities. Students just come to the practical facilities, which is really an out of state facility you have to provide. Classrooms and everything through online. Remaining theories and lecture, I think we have different modes of teaching, making a big revolution now. We call industrial 4.4. So that's going to take over in terms of treating patient and also in terms of education.
Everybody started teaching free of cost now.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a good thing. So how do you advise people who are traveling from India to Malaysia for in the sake of job or clinical job or teaching job? How do you advise whether to continue or not?
Currently, clinical job is quite very difficult in Malaysia. Number one, education wise, also same. It's going on now because we locals are there, but we really need in some niche areas. They really recruit.
What are the range of equipments you have in a college of physiotherapy as such, generally in Malaysia?
They have like a lot of advanced equipments are available. It's not like very old. Okay, for example, we always say we have a motion analyzer. It's a Wi-Fi kind of motion analyzer. We have latestly we bought a virtual reality.
Apart from that, for research, you have any outcome measures tools which are used for research? What is the extent to which?
Because currently ours is not a very big research institute, so we don't have much, but we have facilities to borrow from other universities. Every university will provide a grants to enhance your skill. If your grant is approved, so you can borrow the equipment or you can buy even the equipment. It's up to you. So that kind of things has to be come up in India rather than just making money, So it has to be given so that they have this. Then only the lecturers will, from the education point of view, they start improving themselves.
There are some universities which demand that every teacher should be having so many publications, like 10 or 15 publications in a year. Um, uh, it is almost like publishing only for the sake of management. How it is there in your place? How this?
The university will come up with the KPIs, we call key performance index, for every lecturer to achieve. It's not a number, it's very minimal number we have currently for each person in a year.
So last question is, how is the student-teacher relationship there?
How you have to treat them like your friend, to come up with because if you want to improve their skills, if you want to impart a good knowledge, you have to be a good friend to them.
Are you worried if he is coming with a beard, with a funk or something like that? His hairstyle, do you matter?
That is his personal. Beard is not a big issue. Like any type of clothes they want to wear, they can come. It's up to them. But when they go to the hospital posting, they have to behave like that.
You find
no fine.
No fine.
They are very vocal nowadays. Generations. I don't know I'm not sure, but in India now, but in Malaysia, you can't. How you're going to find them? In what grounds you're going to find them? I don't think so. It's legal as well.
Finally, you can give a 2-minute talk to the education system about in India. What are the need of the hour here?
Like the choice-based credit system is a good step what they have taken now, number one. But we should not stop with that. The thing is, what we have to do is like we continue the choice-based credit system. At the same time, we have to impart how we are going to do the achievement of the students, or we call attainment of the outcomes. The curriculums has to be very strong because that's what we are going to provide to the students. Objectively based question has to be structured first whenever you are framing a question paper in the exams. So based on what I studied like last time, I'm just telling you, practical exams has to have a big paradigm shift in India. I think still we are still following that.
And the pathetic situation is people who do not follow CBCS and objective education are the external examiners for universities which are doing CBCS and objective examination. That is
see, you have a proper checklist. You do a proper objective examination. Why you need external? You check your students. You taught them. You have all the rights to check, but you should have a proper mindset. Personal is personal. When you check inside, you have to have a proper checklist. Follow the checklist. Don't speak to the student. If you are doing a perfectly your job, why need external? Very simple to say.
Yeah. Thank you, Rajkumar. Thank you for your enlightening.
Thank you, Dr. Arnachalam, for giving me this opportunity to share whatever I come across through this 13 years in Malaysia. So I hope this is all my suggestions and what to say, my say towards education. So thank you very much for giving me an opportunity, and I thank you for your Thai Academy. Congrats for your academy as well. Okay,
Thank you.
you're doing a well job.
The main aim of these interviews are, this is for the viewers also. The main aim is to bring forth to you people who have achieved in this field of physiotherapy, who has pioneered in this field of physiotherapy, and you can also take some elements out of them. We should know what is happening around the globe. That is the main aim of this. Thank you, Rajkumar. Thank you so much. Have a great
Thank you.
bye.
Thank you. Thank you.